Hello. Today I want to discuss with you this 36 caliber long rifle. It's done in actually a little bit later style than most of my guns. The story on this particular piece is, one, it does not belong to me. It's going to be given to my grandson. This gun was made in 1988 by Lawrence Norman in West Virginia. So if anybody has any guns that were built by Lawrence, just drop me a note in the comments. He did extremely nice guns. I have two of his guns. I have this one and a smaller pistol that was actually made for me. This gun was made for my father-in-law. His mother was Lawrence's first cousin, so she contracted to have this rifle built for him. It actually was to his measurements. Gun was built in 1988 as a Christmas present. He received it in Christmas of 1988. So this gun has been in my family, or I should say my ex-wife's family, since 1988. My father-in-law passed away in 1999. His daughter inherited it. Unfortunately, me and her ended up splitting up and getting a divorce. She moved out. I asked her to take the gun with her, and she said, "No, I want to leave it with you. I know you'll take care of it." She's like, "Give it to our son." I asked my son, "Do you really want your grandfather's rifle?" And he's like, "Well," he's like, "it's okay, but," he said, "I'd really rather have," he really likes the short Charleville that I did a video on earlier. That's the gun he wanted. He asked me, "Why? What are you going to do with it?" And I said, "Well," I said, "I'd like to give it to Gabe because he's the only great-grandchild." So actually, my grandson is the only bloodline relation of the next generation for this gun to go to. Anyway, so this will be his gun, or it actually is his gun, but he doesn't really want to shoot it. But anyway, we'll get to some specifics on the gun. This gun started its life as a percussion. And when Lawrence, set that down. When I went and visited Lawrence in probably the early 90s, I told him I wish my pistol was a flintlock. And he said, "Well, it's really easy." He said, "I use a small cider lock." He said, "Pull the drum out in, put a vent liner in, get a small cider lock and have it drilled for the lock bolt." He said, "and just change them out." So that's what I did with this gun about 2005. When I first started doing reenactments, I didn't have a period correct gun. I did have this one, and some of my friends, we were doing a little shooting competition, and they were like, "Well," I said, "I don't have a flintlock." I said, "Well, you have a percussion gun." And I said, "Well, just bring it." She said, "It's just our little group. It's not like we're doing it out for the public or anything." And they actually were kind of surprised at how well I could actually shoot with this gun. It does have double set triggers. The front side on it, and I'll show you here because it is a 36 caliber, but the front side on it is just a little bit higher than I like, but with the rear side is also high, so it sets it up for a good sight picture. This gun can be, when it was percussion, it was a tack driver with a flintlock, and that's back before I could really shoot, had practiced a lot of flintlock shooting, so I would pull off to the right some with it. I'd say now if I was to take it out and shoot it, and this gun hasn't been fired in quite a few years. And as you can see with the butt, it actually is the thinner, more of the golden age 1820s, 1830s thinner style. It does, let me turn it around here. It has a single lock bolt with a small, I'm not sure if Lawrence cut that side plate himself. I suspect he did, because I know he did. It does have a star inlay on the cheek piece, but the inlays along the barrel, right here we have, I'm not even sure what you would call that design, but up at the front here, we have this running fox, and I know Lawrence cut those himself and inlaid them in. The wood is an extremely nice, as you can see from the figure, especially here at the wrist, an extremely nice curly maple. This the wood from this came out of his neighbor's yard. There's a tree on the side of a mountain up in West Virginia. It had gotten all twisted and gnarled up and finally blew down. And Lawrence's neighbor said, "Hey, do you want this tree?" And he's like, "Yes." He cut into it, and that's where he got this beautifully figured maple wood. It's just got basic sights on it, a basic trigger guard. And like I said, it does have double set triggers. It does have a little bit of figurative carving right around the lock. I did have to trim a little bit out right here behind the cock to clear the thickness of the neck on the cock as opposed to the hammer on the percussion lock. So I did have to take and file out just a little bit of wood, and I pretty well matched the color staining, getting it back in there. Now the butt plate is loose because it's missing the screw right here. I need to replace that. I'm not sure what happened to it. Actually, that screw was missing when I received the gun in 1999. I don't know what my father-in-law did with it. And I don't know if my father-in-law ever shot this particular gun. I know after it was built and Lawrence asked him to come up and test fire it, he actually handed it to my ex-wife, and she's the one that actually sighted it in, fired it to sight it in where they adjusted the sights. So it was actually set up to for her way of shooting. And right now this gun, I pulled it out of storage and it had gotten some rust on it that I had not expected because I haven't had it out in a while. So I'm going to have to take it apart and do a really more thorough cleaning. I just did a cursory clean, knocked some of the rust off. It's got some pitting and stuff that's going to need to be worked on. Like I said, I'm hoping to get my grandson out to take him out. He's 17. He just doesn't really like shooting all that much. But I keep telling him, I said, this gun right here is lightweight enough. It's like shooting a .22. Put a .350 round ball with 25 to 30 grains of black powder, and she'll shoot all day like that. Very low recoil. So anyway, that's this little gun's history, and like I said, it's more like a golden age era, 1820s, 1830s, 1840s styling. I like the Roman nose on it as far as being the thinner stock and the smaller bore, but they were making what they called youth guns and ladies guns in the late 18th century, where you would have had a smaller caliber and a smaller, thinner, lighter stock. The gun itself maybe weighs 6 pounds. Oh, I didn't mention it's got a 36-inch Douglas barrel, because Douglas Barrel Works is in Charleston, West Virginia, which was, I would say, within 40 miles of where this gun was made. It was made, I'm not sure if Lawrence lived in Lewis County, West Virginia, but that's where my ex-wife grew up, was in Weston and Lewis County. So, and I know when we went and visited, we went and visited her grandmother and drove from her house to Lawrence's, and it wasn't that far away, but it could have been in he may have been in one of the other counties. I don't really remember because that's been quite some years ago. I know Lawrence has passed away. Oh, I didn't show you the toe plate either. It does have, and you can see where that's loose, it has a brass arrow-shaped toe plate. And there were some dings and dents on this gun. It was, before I got it, it was basically just thrown in a closet and stuff thrown on top of it and stuff. It was not, just say it wasn't very gently stored. And then the first years when I had it, when the kids were little and stuff, sometimes it was just stuck in a corner and stuff as well. I've gotten better on the years of how I store my guns, but my guns are pretty beat up anyway, because with doing reenactment stuff, they get carried out on the field, and this gun was just too nice for me to do that. So once I converted it to flint, and I took it to a few events, I purchased the ugly Jaeger rifle that I have a video out there on, because I did not want to fall down and break this, because it is kind of on the slim and delicate side. But it's an extremely nice gun, and I really wish that I'd taken better care of it over the years, and that my father-in-law had actually taken better care of it, because it was in a little bit rust shape when I first got it. And like I said, it's got a lot of nicks and dings and stuff in the stock. but it's a family heirloom piece. Like I said, it was built by one of my wife's family members, and it's going to stay in the family. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video.